You never know, man.
It's written in the stars. Obviously, yeah, for some people that may not have, I can't imagine no one don't know about you, or if they haven't seen you on my channel before. What's your goals for Arsenal this season? You've touched on, the latter stages of the Champions League. Where are you at? Like, what would be a good season for you? Or what would be the bare minimum you would take from this season?
I think we need a piece of silverware. I'm not saying my priority is the Carabao Cup. That means I'm just saying we need a piece of silverware, and so an FA Cup as a like a little, just in case we can't win a league title, cool, FA Cup, I'll take that, and obviously a higher place in the league. I want to fight for the title. I want to win the title. I want to fight for the title at least. And Champions League wise, yeah, as I said, quarterfinals is my expectations, but we need something. We need some silverware because I know we won the Community Shield, but that's not really a trophy. It's more of a
English
a
Super
nice
Cup.
little nice little start to the season. So if we can win an actual trophy in an FA Cup, Champions League, or a Premier League, then I think that's the expectations.
Honestly, man to a man, deep in your heart, do you believe Arsenal can win this league title against this juggernaut of Manchester City?
Yeah, I do actually. Sounds
Why?
deluded, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? No pun intended. But I think the reason why I say I still think we can is because I look at our personnel and go, we've got the players there. And I see what Mikel could do. It's just a matter of, getting the balance sorted. And, I know City have started off pretty well. They've won, was it 6 out of 6? But I saw a stat the last time that they done that. They finished third. So the start to the seasons are fantastic, but it is just the start. And the season really gets decided in April. So as we were last year, this time last year we were 5 wins out of 6, and it was an amazing, 1 point better off than what we are right now actually, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna go win the title. So I think what really matters to me is once we get past January, how this team is then, because I think that's when I really start to judge them, because I'll have more time to adapt and all these new systems will be in place and the likes of Havertz and Cole will be adapted, and of course maybe some key players return, Partey back, maybe Timber, Martinelli, Trossard. Listen, we've got 6, I think, first teamers out right now. So the fact that we've got 4 wins out of 6, still undefeated, it's not really a bad start. It's been actually a very good start in terms of results, at least. It's just the performances that need to come next. But the fact that we're making chances, creating high XG numbers is a positive, even if we're not playing amazing. So yeah, I still believe it's possible. But yeah, Man City is the one. So look, if they get injury, help us out. Of course, I'm not wishing any injury on anyone, by the way. But
Of course not.
that's how it is. And you never quite know. But I'm hoping, I'm believing. It is a bit delusional. But that's me as an Arsenal fan, I guess.
I'm with you in a sense of course, I want to win silverware. If we can win the Premier League, the first of this Emirates era, great. I do like what Mikel Arteta is doing. I just feel Arsenal fans in general need to be balanced. As you know, very few of our fan base are balanced. People live in la la land. Some people, misery loves company. And obviously, after the Spurs game, which we're going to get into, a lot of these players that were, heralded as the messiahs and things like that is kind of gone negative. I just feel, for as much as I like what Mikel Arteta is doing, as you kind of touched on it, it's Manchester City. It's a juggernaut. It's a beast, and they've taken maximum points. We've dropped 4 points at this moment in time. I personally think we can fight for it, but I just think it will out. And of course, I want to be wrong. I just feel it's a step too far, really, compared to City, because I still think we need to be a lot more ruthless. I think our game management needs to improve. We've kind of coped with injuries, but we all know the negative effects that's had in the last 2 years. And a lot of our players aren't necessarily the finished article, so there's not too many guarantees in the squad. That's just not me. That's not me criticizing them. That's just me looking at the weapons City have at their disposal, or what they're doing and what we're not doing or what we are doing, and obviously comparing it because they've gone there and done it. You do need a bit of fortune in the Premier League, as you touched on it. It's 5-6 games in the season. There's 30 odd other games left. There's many twists and turns, bumps and bruises, and hopefully in May, when you're sat on my channel again, we're celebrating. You've got your thumbnails with all the Premier League trophies, etc. But we need to go out there and get it. I am very disappointed in the fact that we've dropped 4 points, because I'm not expecting us to win everything. It's almost an impossible task playing City, but you need to aspire to do such. And I do think we make things harder for ourselves. We're going to get onto the Spurs game, but we did that against Fulham. Even games we've kind of won, we need to kind of chase the illusion of perfection. Let's get onto the North London derby, man. Where's your thoughts? Where do we start, my guy? Where do we start?
Yeah. Look, do you know what it is? The first 30 minutes, I was like, this is what I expect. Domination, chance creation, with the team pressing them in, and that's how it should be. We gave Spurs a lot of the ball in the first half, and I think it was kind of planned. I think what we need to do now is find a balance, because what Mikel Arteta has got is he's got players that can go long now. So you got Raya in goal who can go long, and then you've got Havertz who comes onto the field and he can win headers as well. But we're doing that too often now. We're forcing it. Whereas what Spurs were doing so well in the first half was they were like, no, we're going to keep playing out of the back. It's almost as if we've forgotten our roots of playing out of the back and gone, no, because we've got a 6'4" midfielder and we've got a goalkeeper who's very good at passing long, let's keep going long constantly. So about finding a balance now of when to go short, when to go long, and that will give us more control. I think that was my biggest concern out of the game was we created enough chances to win the game, should have been like 2-0 up in the first half. But, there was mistakes, obviously they happened in football, but more the control that we gave Spurs. And they're at their first real stage of their project. They've just started off with Postecoglou. Arsenal should not be given that level of control, not at the Emirates Stadium at least. And I think at times we made it too easy for them. Our press in the first half was decent, but in the second half it wasn't as aggressive. And I think those are the things that last year Arsenal were very good at, is when we would press teams at the Emirates, we'd press them properly, whether you're Spurs or you're Liverpool or Man City. Whereas this season, it feels like it's almost half-hearted at times, or the players get tired. At times I thought in the second half Nketiah looked a bit gassed. I don't know if it was just me, but I thought he was a bit tired. He wasn't really as aggressive in his pressing either. And I think it's about balance more than anything. Rhythm and balance. Rhythm comes as, of course, the more times we play this season, the more games we play, the more wins we get. But in terms of balance, especially in midfield, it feels like right now it's a bit forced sometimes, and no one quite knows where to be, and it's not quite as decisive as it was last season.
I think that's a great point, really and truly, especially regarding Eddie Nketiah, because watching the game at home, I actually thought he had an injury because, I would say probably the most times I was peed off with Arsenal away from the evident errors and what we was doing was probably going to be how we closed out the first half. I agree with you. I think we started relatively well in the first half hour. I have to give credit to Postecoglou because they kind of stifled how we played. They showed a commitment to continue to play out from the back. As you said, I think the pressing was kind of spot on. I don't know what it was. I don't know if tactically Postecoglou kind of found us out or had an effective plan. I don't know if, there's a bit of flatness because we've had 2 games this week. I don't know if just individually and collectively the players collectively for 90 minutes weren't quite at it. I think our game management and how we ended that half, and really the second half, like you said, where we looked out of steam, compounded with Jorginho's mistake. Not going to just draw him out for a mistake because he's not alone. I think it was more of a mixture of things, if I'm honest with you. And I was disappointed, man. I was disappointed because I'm sure you'd agree, and everyone, it's cheap goals. It's more cheap goals at the Emirates. The second one I was more annoyed because we've just got back into the game. It's that age-old saying, as you know, you're most vulnerable when you've just scored, and we kind of lived that. And we gave it out of nothing. We can sit here and say, Spurs scored out of nothing, but that's what magical players do. Not that I want to praise Spurs players, but you've got Son Heung-min, you've got Maddison. They're going to make things happen. The first goal disappointed me because I know Saka is never going to be a great defender. That's not his job. But I thought him, Benjamin White, actually, Declan Rice, and several players could have done better because they've only picked up some when it's too late. We know our right-hand side is probably the keyest side for us to exploit them. We know they're left because statistically, you can see the positions that Maddison takes up. I was a bit disappointed in Odegaard, if I'm honest, because I wanted a bit more because he set high expectations. I still am a bit concerned, as we were speaking about in the summer. Me personally, I'm not really convinced generally with our midfield options. We know Partey's out. Declan Rice unfortunately picked up an injury. And I don't think Fabio Vieira's done very well. I think that game was the one this season where he hasn't quite been at it. So I'll give him a bye. I think when Havertz came on at the time, I wanted to see that because I thought we just needed a bit more, someone that's just going to muck in. But I don't think any of them have convinced in that role. The Jorginho one, I kind of got it. He's an experienced head, etc., etc. I just thought, and I'm not Mikel Arteta, it's easy for me to say things in hindsight, but I just thought, El Nene, I don't think El Nene gets caught in a situation like Jorginho purely because I don't think he's going to gamble like that because he's not that kind of player. And just on the transitions, Spurs are more than a transitional team, but they can exploit you if you make a mistake. And I just think it's kind of suicidal setting Jorginho up for that, especially in the second half where collectively his teammates are starting to run out of steam, etc., etc. As much as I criticize everyone, including Benjamin White, I give him his flowers because obviously he won the penalty. His overlap allowed Saka to have that deflected effort. So it kind of is what it is. And like you said, one benefit is we didn't lose. As they say, if you can't win, don't lose. But it does feel like 2 points dropped. Would you say it's a point gained or 2 points dropped? Because I can't speak for you, but second half, I was a bit nervous. I was just thinking, it's just going to take 1 minute of brilliance and they're nicking it. Or is it 2 points dropped or is it a point game for you?
Yeah, it's 2 points dropped because I always expect to beat Spurs at home. That's one game I almost not guaranteed to win, but Spurs at home, they've got an awful